Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your game, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome back to Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. I am here with House and Alex. Boys, I've been waiting to get back on here with you guys.
What's up, dude?
Howdy.
I seen all this. It's usually you, Alex. I'm looking at you when I'm talking about this. I watch these episodes when I'm not on here, and I hear the shit that you're speaking. Ooh, Mario,
The truth?
Mario probably. Oh, he has him ranked way too high.
Yeah, you gotta love how I called you out on your draft yesterday. I was like, "Don't draft and don't." Oh, he did it.
Dude, I was watching yesterday and I read Mario like a book. Every pick. Williams, Brown, McLaurin, saw it coming.
Didn't know.
Saw it coming the whole way.
I still regret not taking T. Higgins, and we're talking about a mock draft, and I still regret it. Although I have it in the news, some AJ Brown love. Boys, you ready for tonight's episode? I mean, seriously, it's been a while. It's been a couple weeks. How have you guys been doing, Alex? You're dealing with a I don't something in your mouth. No, nothing new, I guess.
Well, I have teeth, so involved. That's what's in your mouth. Yeah, just some tooth fun. You know, being an adult is awesome. Dentists are cool.
House, you had a huge tournament last Saturday?
We
Your
did.
daughter?
Yep, we did. We had the one of many World Series, as they say, around, and the girls did great, man. They finished in the top 8. So 20 some odd teams, almost 30 teams. It was kid pitch, which we've only done one tournament before, so
Ooh,
I was proud of them.
moving on up.
And now we're learning how to pitch, and my daughter broke a window about an hour ago downstairs. So
Let's get it.
cruising right along, buddy.
Yeah,
You got Wild Thing.
I told her I was going to talk
Wild
about it,
Thing,
and
yeah.
she's like,
Tell
"Dad."
us a bit outside.
Just a bit outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, House is raising a future professional softball player, so be on the lookout. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, like
though
2036.
You should be. You told me before the show it was one pain out of the double pain. So
It
that's good.
was.
But that's only this year. Next year it's only double pain if it's ever getting hit again.
Yeah, it's not getting hit again.
I'll make sure.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna correct that issue.
Pad the windows instead of like telling her not to throw in the house. Just pad them.
We're just gonna have practice at Mario's house.
Now that that's been said, let's move over to the news before we get too carried away. Cecil Lammey, I think I'm saying his last name right, but he is a respected Broncos reporter of 104.3 The Fan. Reports Javonte has taken the first snap at 6 out of 7 practices. He thinks he could get 70% of the snaps. Wow, Alex, I'm not being biased here. Ben Albright, who's also a reporter of Denver Broncos and a well-respected name in the industry, suggests 55-45.
Yeah, 55-45 makes more sense.
Confession
70% is snaps if you're the bell cow. Like that's what
probably true. I think that's true. And that's sometimes where I try to call you out on when you say, like, oh, he's getting 65 to 35. Like, fine. That's fine. It's almost the bell cow anymore.
Yeah, it's close to it. 55, 45 makes sense.
Confession is, I saw the first half of this news report, and then while I kept reading, I saw the second half.
You got real excited to try and throw it at us, and then you saw the rest of it, and you were like, "Oh man, they're gonna give it to me."
Yeah,
because we know you got to talk about Javonte anytime you can to make yourself feel better. We know.
We know, poor boys. Here's
some parlay bet going
also,
on. With
just for the record, this was not like nitpicked. It was really just kind of looking at today's news, and these were the news sources. AJ Brown has been Jalen Hurts' go-to. I've been seeing a lot of reports about Jalen Hurts slinging a lot better, have some zip on the ball, and AJ Brown has been a huge benefactor of those.
No way, not in no contact practice. No way, blew my mind.
Not no contact anymore. Get over yourself.
The number one receiver is getting majority of the quarterback's targets. What?
We've talked enough about Hurts. Let it go.
Seriously. Let it go, Alex. It's not me bringing this up.
This isn't news.
Antonio Gibson returns to practice after hamstring issues. Kind of newsworthy. I actually didn't really know he had some hamstring issues, but I mean,
it's because no one cares about Antonio Gibson and his fantasy relevance, especially
always
in this
dealing
group.
with some. Yeah, that's a good point. We don't have an Antonio Gibson stan in this group. This one I do want to get your guys' thoughts on. Stafford is dealing with tendonitis. Is this something that we should be concerned about? House, I'll go to you first.
Tendonitis of what? Because I didn't see this. His elbow?
Yeah. And I didn't actually look, but I'm assuming it's a throwing elbow.
Yeah. I mean, it's something to keep an eye on because that's one of those things. It doesn't get better unless you rest it, man.
Yeah.
So it's something to keep an eye on. It's, depending on how bad it is, it's really pain tolerance and working through it, but something to watch as we go through. He's a gamer though. Didn't he play? He scored a touchdown with a separated shoulder, and he'll do what he's got to do. Yeah. He's a gamer. I love Matt Stafford.
Any fears or concerns with you, Alex, about this?
You've got to monitor it. I mean, it's tendonitis in the throwing elbow, so it's something to where Does he need to practice a ton? Probably not. He probably needs a little bit of time to get in there. So it's just, watch the news for the next few weeks and see if it's like, oh, it's looking better. I don't think he misses any games because he's Stafford, but it is something to monitor.
Could affect his play a little bit. Maybe.
For sure.
It's better to happen now because,
oh, yeah.
Camp for him, no big deal, right?
Yeah.
Veteran QB, he's been around long enough that he's not getting a ton. They aren't making big changes in the offense or anything like that. So
no.
And him and Allen Robinson have still already been showing signs of being on the same page. So that's good there because that's pretty much the only concern that you'd probably have in this offense is their connection.
As long as he can still have breakfast with Cooper Kupp, he'll be fine.
Yeah, the Breakfast Club. Dobbs has been a shining star in Green Bay's camp. Have you guys seen any of these reports? It's been insane. Aaron Rodgers has been praising him.
I've been on Twitter the last few days just because I've been in pain. I don't want to do anything. So I'm looking at players nonstop, just looking at some, beat reporters and kind of just getting an eye what's going on. And yeah, Dobbs has been shouted out a lot more than they're talking about. Like it's a big deal.
It sounds like a big deal. Everything and we're supposed to temper, and I can't do this. I just suck at this. Temper our expectations because it's training camp. But man, does it sound like a big deal, especially hearing what Aaron Rodgers has been saying. He compared him to top 10 in Packers receiving history. He was comparing them to those guys being shining stars.
They don't have stars. That's the thing. Like an undrafted, it's like you look back. Like, for example, like the Giants, when Victor Cruz blew up, they didn't have a ton of stars. He was, undrafted. Like, Cobb is old. Watkins, who knows? Lazard is,
Christian Watson's out.
Yeah, Watkins
out. Is hurt.
Watkins, you don't know what you're going to get. So could this guy end up becoming the number 2 receiver for the Packers? Yeah, it's not that crazy to think that.
I'm with you. I think that's where he's going to firmly establish. If not, he's running the one.
He's getting playing time. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He's going to get playing time.
The only question I have about this is, was this when Rodgers was doing the psychedelic drugs or not? Because that's going to determine whether or not I believe this.
It makes sense him coming out like it was Con Air, for a training camp.
Yeah,
I was like,
right.
Is this guy on drugs? Yep, he is. 100%.
All right, we have after the drugs talk, we're just going to keep on trucking here. We have the NFC South.
You missed a big piece of news, buddy.
What did I miss?
Deontay.
Oh, the extension.
Dork.
I feel bad for Deontay. I feel like he's getting hosed. I was real mad with the Steelers about this.
It's a deal.
Sure is. 18 mil a year, right?
For
2 years?
Yep. Yeah, it's a 2-year extension, so he plays out what he has,
which is 1 year.
And then it's 2 years on top of that.
So he's locked in till 2025.
Yes.
2022, 2023, 2024. Yep.
Yeah. Good move for the Steelers. Per usual, they don't make a bad decision. Yeah.
This is tough, man. Like, I know it's a great decision. It's a good team decision. But, like, who's Deontay's agent? Seriously. Like, a 2-year is he 26? He's going to be 28 trying to get another contract? Come on. He's not Devontae.
If you ball, you got to think Devontae at 26 wasn't Devontae where he was last year. He was close, but he had same numbers as Deontay at 26 probably.
No.
Probably pretty similar.
No.
Oh, man.
It's not even close.
It's a good move for the Steelers, man.
It's a great move for the Steelers. Devontae's 29. Yeah, exactly. That's the face of like, maybe I made a mistake.
I don't think so.
While you look that up, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Falcons here because Brian's been having a lot of fun finding some team fun news. So I'm going to kick off with Nike, and what's really interesting about this is the link no longer exists. So I don't know what happened because I was ready to show the world. Nike added team hoodies. That the only team that was Falcons were the only team that was cheaper, and theirs was $50 less than all other teams. Theirs was $35 for a hoodie, $85 for all other teams. That's rough. They are looking for some. Falcons gear is obviously not selling. Other bit of news that I wanted to talk about is a lot of Drake London love coming out of camp and how he's separating, and he's a clear stud in this offense. There was a video that Brian posted, but I'm not quite certain if we can show it. So I didn't post that. Alex, did you look up the Devontae Adams?
Yes.
And
Adams had a couple hundred more yards and had 4 more touchdowns.
A couple. That's a lot.
Well, Aaron Rodgers isn't throwing Deontay Johnson the ball.
Okay, I'll let you say that for last year, and that's it.
And Ben's been garbage for 2 years.
Yeah. So I'm not saying Deontay Johnson's Devontae Adams. I'm saying at 28, could he earn a contract? That's probably pretty big.
Well, if it's with the Steelers, it's just going to be another 2-year, 1-year deal. Yeah, there's no way they do it more.
He's going to be gone. Just like every other wide receiver from the Steelers when they get 28. They sign a big contract at another team. That happens every think of every receiver. 28, they're gone.
Makes me wonder, and I know we should just get onto the Falcons, but it still makes me wonder what they plan to do with Claypool.
So Claypool's going to be around here. Here's how I envision it happening, and then we can go to Atlanta, right? Resident Steelers expert here. I think Deontay settled on that number rather than holding out, whatever you want to call it, even longer, because he's concerned that he is not going to get the same work that he did with Big Ben. Because the quarterback play is in question right now. They drafted Pickens, and every report in Pittsburgh is that guy looks like a stud. Obviously, it's early. That other kid that they drafted late, I don't know when they got him. Calvin Austin. They're gonna move on from Deontay eventually. It's gonna be Claypool. It's gonna be Pickens. It's gonna be Austin. And then they're going to move on from Claypool, and it's going to be Pickens and Austin and whoever else they bring after that.
Yeah.
It's just that it's that never-ending cycle.
It's so odd that like you test that market and you're getting paid more than 18 and for longer. To me, you can't. I mean, AJ Brown's more explosive, but Deontay seems like the overall like little bit of a better wide receiver. I know that might sound like a bold take, but
I disagree with that. But
don't give me that, Alex. I don't even want to hear anything that's related to Jalen Hurts. You can't even tell me that you like.
Here's the thing, though, with that.
I like AJ Brown.
He would have had to play out this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if he's worried about that production, he's worried about that offensive output.
It'll be a worse contract.
He's not going to get paid.
Yeah, you're right.
See Juju Schuster.
He also secure in the bag. So
yep,
36 mil is nothing to sneeze at. Just crazy with some of these other contracts.
Yep.
All right, getting back to the Falcons. Let's start off with the biggest question mark in the fantasy community from this team, because it's pretty mind-blowing, actually, and a little tough to explain, but I get it because I'm not very high on him. Cordarrelle Patterson. He's going as RB39.
Yeah.
He finished as RB9 last year. I'll start with you, Alex. What are you expecting to see from Cordarrelle this year?
Less. A lot less. And the main reason is he's shown flashes before at the Vikings on the receiving side, but he was never that great of a receiver. The reason why he's fantasy relevant last year was because he did rush the ball and was a receiver. He wasn't that great of a running back last year. He just wasn't as bad as Mike Davis. Gallman wasn't that much worse. He wasn't great, but the new guy, Tyler, I think his name was it Algier or Algier.
I think he had it the first time.
He balled out at BYU, and I know it's BYU, but I think the rookie ends up taking a ton of snaps from him.
How, so you feeling the same way? Feeling a little bit different?
No, I tend to agree. So this is a guy that never really had a position, right? He was always a kick returner. Was always was a freak.
Came in
athlete,
as a wide receiver,
but could never find a role for him, right? And I remember having conversations with my buddies like, if this guy could just get on the field and play consistently, he could do some damage. But he was RB7 in points per game last year, weeks 1 through 14. Fell off a cliff at the end of the year, mostly because they started using more of a platoon in the backfield. But yeah, for sure. I think what Alex said is that Algier is going to come in. He's going to take some of that work. Shameless plug, huge waiver wire pickup for me. Helped me beat you guys last year. So he does have a fantasy title under his belt last year. So thank you, Cordarrelle Patterson. But yeah, I mean, best ball, he's probably a decent play, but unreliable running back or receiver, wherever he slots in.
Yeah.
I do think I think your best ball is probably a sweet spot for him, but I also kind of think that this is how we do see it. If this rookie is going to make any sort of indent, I don't think it's going to be necessarily right off rip. And I think Cordarrelle will do most of his damage for the season right off rip, because they're going to be 31 now. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, these guys say it all the time, especially when you're rushing the ball. Like, when you're that age, you're going to tail off at the end of the season. You're hurting. You're hurting after week 1, and that's for somebody that's 25. But more so if you're 30. How do you feel right now, Alex? Are you going to if you went and played a football game, how do you think you'd wake up feeling?
No, I agree. I agree that he's going to tail off. I just don't even think he's going to start off getting the bulk of the carries. I think his fantasy impact is heavily impacted. They have more targets at receiving. They had injuries and suspension and nobody else to throw the ball to besides Pitts, who was double teamed every game. So I really work hard. To me, you have him at the back end. Like, it's
Calvin Ridley started off the year and he came out. Cordarrelle was instantly relevant in this offense. And it's the same situation. You have London and you have Kyle Pitts. The only concern that you can make is really the talks about Algier, who they spent a 4th round pick on. It's not like they went and got Breece Hall.
A 4th, yeah, but he looks, like I've been saying, going on Twitter, he's looking great in camp. He's getting some first team reps. He's looking really good. He's built more like a back. He's more centered. Cordell Patterson, what do you average? Was it like almost 4 yards, around 4 yards per carry last year?
It was 4.
Yeah, he didn't. It's not like he was a special running back. He was just Mike Davis was terrible.
But 4's
terrible.
Not bad. 4 is not bad. 4 is not bad.
4 is not good.
I don't think it's bad. I think it's, above mediocre.
You think it's top 20?
No.
Okay.
Probably not. If we were talking about like 15 years ago, it might have been because just they got the bulk of the carries a lot more and it just brought that number down.
4 isn't good. Let's just put it that way. If he's not top 20 in yards per carry, that's not
dynamic.
Good.
He's dynamic. So
yeah, he does. He adds dynamic. I don't. He's going to do worse than he did last year. No doubt about it.
You mentioned one of these players already, Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Are we expecting him to be elite in this offense with Marcus Mariota throwing the ball? Because I think that's the question, right? Or is he going to be an elite tight end for your fantasy team? Because that's where he's being drafted at. House, I want to start with you first.
So as I was making notes for this, I have right under Atlanta 2 questions, a question and a statement. The first one is this whole team and their fantasy production is entirely QB dependent. And that's the issue with any of these guys we've talked about is how does Mariota or Ritter, if he should happen to get in there, play? No denying that Pitts is a monster, right? He has to score more touchdowns than he did last year. You would think he only had 1, and I see him being their clear number 1 target. More so than London. The offense is going to run through him.
But what's that translate as, right?
He's right in that talent wise. He's right in that tier with Andrews, Kelsey. I think so. He's right there.
Situation wise,
top 5 lock in my opinion. Top 3 upside, depending on again Mariota.
Mariota loves his tight ends.
Yeah, but Mariota's not very good. You can love your tight end, but he's not very good.
It's not top 3 tight ends.
Yeah. Delaney Walker was a top 3 tight end when he was QB.
What year?
Pretty sure. 2016, probably.
All right, let me check. Go ahead, though. You're thinking an elite?
No. I remember, Delaney balled out in 2016.
He was tight end 5.
So, all right, maybe not top 3, but he was top 5. And it was Delaney
Kyle
Walker.
Pitts is being drafted as 3, so you're looking for upside of tight end 1.
Yeah. That's the thing. There's two targets. And they're both over 6'4". And Mariota is not great, but he's good at throwing to tall receivers. He's efficient. He's not amazing, but is he the worst starting QB in the league this year? No. I would rather have him than probably 4 or 5 other QBs.
Yeah, and I don't know if I feel that way, but I think there is some question that maybe Jimmy G heads to this offense, in which it would make me reevaluate my fears of Kyle Pitts this season. I know Jimmy G can sustain a good tight end. We've seen it. Ooh, that sentence just doesn't roll off right. So another guy that we've mentioned, Drake London. Is there any love from you guys for a redraft for this season? And I'll start it with you again, House.
Looking at it, he should be their clear number 1 wide receiver. He's going wide receiver 40-ish, and I think like mid to late round 8. Based off what I looked at earlier, probably worth the value there is the 3 or 4 on your team. Should demand targets, but players on bad offenses, man. I don't see this offense doing a ton. It worries me. Who is it that says that? Cody says that all the time.
Yeah, usually running back position, but as a wide receiver, he might be getting junk time. But
yeah. I think they're going to be down, so they're going to have to throw a lot. But the question is, again, can Mariota get him the ball? Get him in Dynasty for sure. Redraft, I'd probably take a flyer on him, kind of in that 8-9 range.
I have yet to do that. Alex, what about you?
I mean, I kind of, touching on. I think I don't hate Mariota as much as probably most of you guys do. So
he can't even stay healthy.
Yeah, that's his biggest issue. I think Pitts is a stud. I think Drake London is a stud. I don't think it matters. I think like when you think of garbage time, it's like Blake Bortles with Allen Robinson. Balled out, terrible team, terrible QB.
So I think I have a little bit of a bold take about Drake London, who I used to be a huge fan way maybe in January, February, but I kind of think he's going to be a bust.
No.
Dude, I don't know. Like maybe he's looking decent at practice now, but he doesn't get great separation, or he didn't. He's big. Yes, that's great. He's not fast. He refused to run the 40. That's a red flag. There's just some things about him that he's not Mike Evans, and everybody wants to compare him to Mike Evans.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Evans is a freaking nature.
Is he closer to Mike Evans or is he closer to Chase Claypool?
I don't think he's close to either of those guys.
You think he's going to be worse than both?
Well, first off, Mike Evans is probably a Hall of Famer.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like
Claypool,
I get that.
We're downplaying Claypool, who did the exact same thing as his rookie season with a big old Ben. Like I think
I don't hate Claypool.
I know. So I think Claypool is pretty good. So nothing about anything coming out of college that Drake London did is necessarily like I went and watched these highlights because I had
to, and I watched film. Like I don't understand what you're saying. Drake London was really good on a bad USC team.
He was not that great.
I disagree.
And now he gets onto an offense that, here's another thing that you disagree with, has a terrible quarterback. So yes, that may be a replacement, but like for how long? How long before his development stalls because he has a quarterback that can't get him to the ball? It's just not a good situation.
Yeah, London was a beast.
They should have drafted a QB here.
No. This year's QBs? No.
Yeah.
I mean, Drake London had 88 catches in 8 games last year. 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. On a crap team with no other receivers as good as him, getting targeted, like they were focusing on Drake London.
That's fine.
He's good.
He went really early in the draft. I get it. He did well in college. It just doesn't look like an NFL receiver to me. He's huge. If he was put on a different situation where he could, like, let's just say Tom Brady didn't have Mike Evans or LA or another offense that would use him properly and develop him in that role, I would be all about it. I don't think it's Atlanta though. I don't even think we saw Calvin Ridley be that well under this head coach. And I'm not hating. Is his name Arthur Smith? I'm not hating on him. It's not a good situation to start your career out. Don't give me that. Don't give me that Klay Thompson face. All right, dude.
I can't give you the face I was born with. Don't give you the face that's on your face.
Anybody else that you want? Go ahead, House.
I was going to ask a question because you were about to go. Anybody else you want to talk about?
Yep.
I said that I had a question and a statement listed on my notes for Atlanta, and my question is there a team with less fantasy relevant players in the league than Atlanta?
Ooh.
I thought of maybe 2.
I think it's Houston is the only close one, but even Brandon Cooks, I would take over almost everybody on this team.
And Nico Collins is looking real good.
You love Nico. I don't hate on him. I just don't have that love.
I think Atlanta's got the worst team.
So like you said, Houston, that was one of them, and it was, Cooks is obviously very relevant, right?
Yeah.
But I was just thinking like total number of players, and the only ones I could think of were Houston and maybe Tennessee, because after Henry, not a ton there that I really like.
Robert Woods
different
is
story.
good.
Different story for a different day. But
yeah.
I mean,
probably Falcons. It's probably the Falcons have the least amount of fantasy
because like players. I would still want I want Treylon Burks over London. What, Alex? What? And like you got to agree on that for fantasy, right? Or no?
No.
You have to, right?
I don't know. I think it's pretty even. I think honestly, it's pretty even. Because you're banking on Treylon Burks being AJ Brown. That's what you're banking on. You're not banking on him being kind of like him. You're like, he's AJ Brown.
Not really, because if he's
The way
AJ
you
Brown, I'd be
value
drafting.
him, yes, you do.
I would be drafting him wide receiver. What? I don't know. What's AJ Brown going at? Wide receiver 12 or something? Earlier? No, 6.
Oh, didn't you draft him last night?
Yeah, second round. I'm not valuing Burks there. Do I see the comparisons? A little bit. All right, let me get over to the Saints, because I don't think you guys had any more to talk about about this. Brian notes, Jameis had the Washington Carver High School football team to a practice. I had a video for this. Again, probably not going to play it just because of time purposes. But that's pretty cool, man. I am like, I mentioned it in a tweet. I am rooting for Jameis more than probably most of the NFL players, just because I think he's a cool dude. Didn't think that when he came out of college. Kind of hated him when he came out of college.
Some questionable decisions.
Definitely.
You want to eat some W's? Is that what you're trying to do?
Today, and this was yesterday, the Saints stopped practice due to fighting. Lots of cheering on the Saints page about Falcons stopping practice due to fighting. Rookie Trevor Penning, who I believe is an offensive lineman, has been in 3 fights for the Saints, leading points per fight leagues right now.
He's the next Richie Incognito, apparently.
Yeah, that's a lot of people are comparing him to that. Is it Richie Incognito? I swear I can tell. Back to fantasy. The biggest news for this team is Kamara hearing was pushed back 60 days. So a lot of people are speculating and assuming that this suspension, if any, won't come until next season. What does this do for your Kamara ranks? Now, note, you both have him at RB8. So either you already fixed him where you had the expectation that he was playing full, or maybe you go higher. I don't know. I'll start with you, Alex. Are you changing your ranks from RB8, or were you already baking in that he was playing a full season?
That was me based off of a full season. Because since there wasn't news coming, it wasn't, like Deshaun Watson realistically took over a year to figure out even an initial suspension ruling.
But yes.
Yeah, it is completely different. But like, it didn't seem like a lot was moving on. There wasn't like enough updates. So I had to base it off of him playing the whole year. I can't say 4 games, 6 games when I have no idea. So I keep him at RB8 because that's my full year projection.
House, does this change anything for you?
Yeah, I probably had him ranked too high based off of a full year, and I'm probably going to change things, but not because of this. There still has to be some fear that everything plays out and he gets suspended midway through the year, which
could happen. Zeke,
exactly. So
different again.
You don't want to assume that that's going to happen. But there's got to be some lingering fear that's going to come through. So I ranked him at the beginning of the year based off a full season. Probably have to rethink that. Probably fading him the whole way around just because of all the uncertainty and other things going on in this offense. If we want to get into that, I can bring up those reasons why. But
yeah, no, I that was going to be my follow-up question to Alvin Kamara, because I think I've never seen the Saints in 10 years have this many weapons as far as receivers. And now they are kind of loaded in the wide receiver room. Say all you want about Jarvis. He'll get some targets. So I'll turn that back over to you, House. Is that where the concerns stem from?
Yeah, because a lot of what he's done is, he runs the ball, but a lot of the fantasy value has come from his receiving work, right? Yep. So he missed 4 games last year, but he only had 47 catches and he had 67 targets. And before that, he was consistently an 80-catch, 100-target guy. And that was with no Michael Thomas last year. Yeah. Obviously, they didn't have Jameis.
They have Marquez Callaway.
Right. Now they've got Thomas, Olave, Landry. It's going to eat into those targets, man. So I think that he is going to take a drastic hit in that receiving work based off of all the receivers that they have. And Jameis, not really a check down guy, likes to sling it.
and we saw in the beginning of the year, and it felt like it was happening a little bit more often in this offense when your number one receiver is Callaway. Alex, did you have anything to add about Kamara? Because I have him ranked at RB16 before these exact reasons. I'm very low on him, and I even moved him up a couple spots after assuming that he plays for the full season. Do you have any last minute thoughts on him before we go over?
No. I mean, what I would say is it's like the points House made. Yeah, it is enough of a concern. I still think that they do keep him super involved. For me, the one player I do not want to have on this team is probably Landry. I think he's just not going to get a ton of targets. They did throw tight ends for the Saints last year for passing wise. They were pretty efficient. I still like Kamara. Do I think he gets into the top 5? No. I think he's an 8 to 12. He plays the full year. They're going to utilize him a ton. Still, maybe not as much, but he's still going to be utilized a lot. To me, Landry's the guy who's probably going to get the biggest hit.
And that's fine. I don't know if anybody's really going too crazy with Landry. So like we have Michael Thomas who looks healthy recently. Alex, you have him at wide receiver 14. House, you have him at wide receiver 23. Alex, you have to be expecting a pretty big comeback year for Michael Thomas here. So you're high on Kamara, you're high on Thomas, which you said you're not expecting much at all from Landry.
Right.
Expecting the big bounce back from Thomas, huh?
Yeah. I mean, you got to think when he did have one of the best QBs in the league, he was a top 3 wide receiver. So for me, if he plays a full season, I do think Jameis does pretty well this year. He's gonna get his targets. He's Michael Thomas. I don't think Olave is better than Michael Thomas. I don't think Landry's better than Michael Thomas. He's gonna get a crap ton of targets. I think he's healthy enough. He's still
what kind of targets
young.
You saying here? You're gonna say 150.
I was gonna say like 140, probably.
I can't see it.
140. I can 100%.
I can't. No Drew Brees, no Sean Payton, no left ankle. I mean, there's no reason.
So to your Sean Payton point, the good news is it's still the same OC.
Yeah.
So there should be some continuity there.
Kamara, Thomas.
It's not Payton, but it's he's still got a guy that's been around.
Yeah.
Hasn't played for 2 years. That's too much of a risk for me. I think I'm about 28, 29. House at wide receiver 23, which I think is fair. 14 seems high, but we'll save that conversation for another day, Alex. We'll maybe have a Royal Rumble about it. Alex, you've already answered this. House, do you have any love for Olave and Landry? Sorry.
Well, I'm gonna chime in on Thomas real quick. I think he's the biggest mystery in fantasy football. He could be a league winner. He could be a complete bust based off of
That's true.
Of how everything works out with him coming back, not playing for the better part of 2 years. So
I'm staying far away.
Yeah. Maybe as my third receiver, if I can get him somewhere with decent value, and then I can see, okay, is he somebody that I can put in? But where he's going right now, middle of the 6th, probably too rich for my blood.
All day.
Too rich. All day. Olave and Landry. Alex, it sounds like Alex is pretty much for the most part fading him. He might steal some Olave if he's cheap enough.
Late. Yeah, cheap enough, I'll take Olave. I don't want to.
You targeting either of those guys?
Mario, you and those ice cubes, man. It's like Alex and his pen.
Could you hear me with the ice cube?
Oh yeah.
With the ice cube.
I thought it would just be this is the second night in a row that I've done this. I'm sorry, everyone.
Are you drinking chocolate milk too?
No, it's just some iced coffee.
Oh.
Been staying away from the booze to the iced coffee. Booze just got too expensive, man. When I'd be drinking pounded 3 of those a night, it's like I'm running through these. I'm not big bragging about it, but when I'm on here Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I'm drinking 3,
crushing 3 White Claws, huh?
Yeah.
A tough guy.
There's probably White Claw in his coffee. Let's be honest.
All right.
I'll stop with the ice cubes. My bad, everyone. Thank you for pointing that out, House. I always hear, I'm like, this right here, what is this called? I can't remember. The sound thing. I'm like, this will block it. They won't hear me chewing an ice cube.
It's not a door.
All right, go ahead, House.
Well, I think you were asking Alex about Chris Olave, but if you want me to talk about him, I will.
No. Alex already pretty much told me he's maybe bargain shopping for Olave.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Doesn't offer a ton after the catch. Does offer a lot getting down the field. So I was looking up some numbers earlier. It was college numbers, obviously, but was 96th percentile in separation versus single coverage last year. So you get down the field. People compare him to Calvin Ridley a little bit. Him being able to get down the field is intriguing because Winston
Especially with Jameis.
was fourth in ADOT in the games that he played last year. Dynasty I'm in. Otherwise, I'm in for him as a depth receiver, best ball maybe. Some big weak potential, but not again, I'm probably not targeting him, but if he falls in the right spot, I might take a flyer.
I'm actually a little more in on him than you guys. I think there's a questionable area though, because I think Alan Lazard typically goes around there. You guys know I got some love there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I'm landing him often because there's some wide receivers that I really like in that area. But I do I have taken him in best ball and I feel great about it. And my hate, not for Michael Thomas as a person, but for him this season, kind of drives that a little bit more. So I thought I should clarify in case Michael Thomas saw that and wanted to beat my ass. Jameis,
how do you feel picking one Ohio State receiver over another?
It's just what
not
it is,
smart.
man.
Just say it. Just I don't feel.
I take
right.
T-Mac over Curtis Samuel.
Well, yeah.
Curtis Samuel's going to have a great year. That's Alex. Alex's love for Curtis Samuel. I used to I was like, oh, he might be a sneaky
outlandish.
But Alex's love has kind of drove me the other way, pushing me far.
Yeah, whatever Alex likes, I hate.
You do the same to me. Get out of here.
Hey, you're the one who said you didn't like me for the first month you met me. I didn't say that.
That's true. House, when you first met Alex, did you have any sort of feelings about?
I don't want to hear. I don't want to know.
So, being that I was the teacher, I had to like everybody. So I'm just
PR answer.
I'm gonna cop out on that.
Yeah,
no,
he knows
Horizon might see this.
Yeah. No, it was very clear early on who I was going to get along with in that room and who I wasn't. Let me put it that way.
And Alex,
which was us. We were funny.
He picked you. No, I'm kidding. Jameis is surrounded by weapons, so he's going QB 23. Is this something that everybody's kind of sleeping on? Is this I get it. You're not taking him for your overall one. You probably would. Maybe you are. I don't know. You could really fade and pick him up at 157. Coming off a torn ACL.
Eating dubs.
Yeah, he's a scrambling QB.
Well, it's still an ACL injury. So, but is this
Ask
somebody
Tom Brady about his ACL injury? I'll tell you.
Okay. So you're in. I mean, that's what you're telling me.
It comes down to the offensive line. I think the talent's there. The fact that he got his eyes worked on 2 seasons ago because he was blind as a bat. He's got the most. I mean, I wouldn't say the most weapons because he had Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, but he put up 5,000 yards and 33 touchdowns. So
and 30 interceptions. But those have faded.
It's okay. That's not going to happen this year.
I'm still waiting for the 30 for 30. 30 for 30. Or 30 and 30, I guess it would be.
Yeah. He's going to be it's going to be a fun team. To me, in this conference, it's going to be the most fun team to watch.
House.
Sneaky QB1 potential.
Yeah.
Woo!
I hope it happens. I would love to see it. I would love to see it.
Sneaky top 12 potential with this guy. So decision making's gotten better. Before he got hurt last year, he was 14 touchdowns, 3 picks.
That's nuts.
Which for him is crazy. We just talked, 30 and 30, right?
Eyes.
So
has a guy that can spread the field now. May increase the interceptions, but the yards might go up as well.
Yeah. Just keep him away from any crab legs that might be around for him to walk away with, and you'll be fine. But yeah,
Or
solid.
any cafeteria tables.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring that one up. Solid QB2, sneaky QB1 potential.
Yeah.
You know, from that, like, I don't think he's going to be top 5, but, that 9 to 12 range, I think he could sneak into.
Like, yeah, I think you nailed it on the head there. Right? You're not expecting him to really come out with a top 5 QB year, but the fact that you could get him at 23 and he comes anywhere from 7 to 12, in your case, you said 9 to 14, like that's solid value, especially if you fade the QB position completely and you load up everywhere else. Let's go to the Panthers. And it appears that I deleted my talking points about this, but not to fret. What is going on here? So for anybody that's listening, I just put on our screen a picture that's training camp welcome from Panthers, and it looks like there's an inflatable slide behind it. Now, is there any, like, could it be the inflatable helmet? Maybe, but that really looks like a slide.
Yeah.
No chance that's a helmet.
Yeah. It's definitely a slide for kids. They heard about Baker Mayfield being an immature personality in the locker room.
So it's really for Baker.
Inflatable slide. Welcome to Carolina. Here's your slide, bud.
That was some Baker hate. I like it.
Yeah, since Baker had to move out of his house up in Cleveland in the stadium there from all his commercials, he had to
this is his new home.
He had to get his new playground outside of this one, right? Alice Cooper's not his neighbor anymore, so he's got to have a slide.
Here's my. Did somebody put these back? Did they cut them and did somebody hit the undo button?
I know how to work computer.
Anyways,
hopefully you did.
DJ Moore nearly tied his season high in touchdowns in one practice with Baker. Some big love going on about this connection being the real deal. So first, I kind of want to hit this really fast because I don't think we need to dive in this. We talked about Baker. Is there any fantasy relevance there? Are any of us looking? Like, we just talked about Jameis going QB 23. Is anybody looking for him late in drafts for redraft or dynasty, I guess?
No.
See, and dynasty, I'm okay with stashing them, but that's about it.
No. What was that?
I heard it too.
I think that was Jenny laughing. I was like, did that come through my headphones or from behind me?
I was like, that was Jess or Jenny, because I know what I meant.
So
can I?
She's still laughing.
She's probably watching like fart videos right now.
She's probably watching us. What are you talking about?
That sounds like your humor, Alex. So it's great.
So can I tell you what the Charlotte Observer has going on right now? That's the newspaper down there.
Yeah,
they have it. I can't tell if it's daily, but they have what seems to be a daily article on the QB battle at camp. I found it today, and it's like Darnold versus Baker day 6, Darnold versus Baker day 7.
Wow.
And they keep score at the bottom. So
does Darnold have any points?
The last update I saw, it's who's had the best day at camp. It was after day 7, the score was Baker 3, Darnold 2, and then Walker and Corral 1. So that obviously doesn't add up to 7, but
dude,
closer than the experts think.
Is Carolina, are they that team in your league that, somebody first 6 weeks looks terrible, right? But they were great last year. Or at one point in their career, they're like, you know what? I'm about to buy low. Let me stack up. And they just keep doing it. And keep getting burned.
Darnold was top 10 weeks 1 through 6 last year.
Terry Bradshaw said after week 2 that Darnold was the best quarterback that Pittsburgh great. Terry Bradshaw said this. That Darnold was the best quarterback this franchise has ever seen. That's just a racing Cam Newton, screw this MVP. Darnold is great.
He's not even better than Jake Delhomme. Terry Bradshaw is crazy.
He has gone off the rails.
It's like he got put like they put like a presidential seal in front of him, and he just like I
talk about Michael Thomas joining or come and find me and beating my ass. Terry Bradshaw about to come knocking on your door. What is he? 6'6"? Like, what'd you say?
Go for it.
He can barely walk.
Go for it, Terry.
Scary,
All right,
Terry.
So CMC has been climbing people's ranks since May. Because when we were talking about CMC in May, if I remember correctly, maybe this was my own rankings, he was going right around 5th, maybe 4th. Am I crazy for saying that? Don't you guys remember that? He's firmly established, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Firmly established at the 102 right now. And there's a lot of people arguing for him to be the 101 in drafts. So I know that I want to start with you, Alex, here, because this is right up your wheelhouse. And honestly, you're probably salty that you're not the one that's kind of started this 101 train.
Why am I salty? I have him in leagues. I'm happy. I think him being healthy, we'll see if it lasts. Baker is an improvement. You don't roster Baker, but
not according to the Charlotte Observer. Go ahead.
It doesn't matter. You could have Uncle Rico throwing the ball left-handed, and CMC's gonna still be a phenomenal back.
Right over those mountains over there.
Stop talking about Gardner Minshew like that, dude.
Any way to get him into a conversation.
Yeah, right. Alex. QB1.
Coach will put me in. We're on states. No, C-Mac we know he's the real deal. He catches the ball. He runs routes better than probably any running back in the league. He's quick. What they're doing with him in preseason and limiting some touches and practice, it's smart. You've got to keep him healthy. You've got to obviously get him moving around so his knees are prepared to be going left and right nonstop. But the team's better than it was last year. I don't love Baker, but I don't hate him, and it is an improvement.
My defense is not better. House, are you taking him at? Let's just 101 or 102.
It's a good question. If I'm sitting there at 1, I'm still taking Taylor.
Sure.
That's not even a question for me right now, and that's simply because of injuries. Right? When he's healthy, CMC is the best fantasy player in the league, but he hasn't been healthy for 2 years. So you have to factor that in, but you also have to take that risk of, hey, if I take this guy, he could be a monster. Right. So he's not even
getting discounted that way anymore though.
Right. But when he played last year and he had more than 50% snap share, he was RB 1, 3, 4, and 3. He only played over 50% of the snaps in 4 games, and he was a top 4 back in each of those weeks. So I'm probably taking him. If I'm sitting at 2, I probably can't pass him up just because of that potential, and I'll deal with the ramifications if he doesn't. And I hope that dude stays healthy, man, because he's fun to watch
for sure.
Yes,
and if he does, he's going to get 300 touches.
That's where
1,800 yards and 10 plus TDs.
This is my only concern and why I have him so low in my rankings, because we've seen this happen 2 years in a row. And Rob argues that Matt Rule is on the hot seat, which maybe
he is.
Maybe.
He is.
What I'm about to say next is if you want him to be there all year, I don't see where you can feed him the way that they have in the past. I just don't. I get it. Like, injuries kind of are fluky and they're not really. It just doesn't make sense how you're not protecting your back. Like, if the Browns do everything wrong, which they do, the one thing that they do that I've never seen another team do so well is use Nick Chubb the way that they do. He's efficient. Oddly enough, he still gets hurt. But
they've got Kareem Hunt there, man. They have, they have the depth to
draft a back, sign a back, like do something. I mean, they've had CMC for 5 years.
They try. I mean, with Hubbard and Foreman, I think they're like they want to take a little bit of the carries. I don't see C-Mac rushing for 1,300 yards. I'm saying like I'm seeing him going, maybe 900 and getting 7.
That's what he always does.
But that's what I'm saying. He's not with that. You're taking away carries already. Like, they're not going to put 300 carries or 250 carries on him.
I don't think I'm not necessarily only talking about carries. I'm talking about like a 10 to 20% reduce in workload. That includes passes. or receptions. Sorry.
Well, I think if they're going to reduce his workload, it's going to be in the run game because he can control contact more when he's receiving the ball coming out of the backfield. You've seen receivers get down, avoid taking those big hits. It's that in between the tackles is where they're gonna limit him if they do. Listen, if he's healthy, I think they're gonna ride him.
He had 142 targets and 287 attempts in 2019. And largely the whole community is expecting something in that vicinity at taking him 101 or 102. At least they're expecting those targets to be close to that, over 100. So maybe it's not as close to that, but they're expecting those targets to be over 100. And I don't know how. A new quarterback, Baker, he had some moments with Kareem Hunt. Still it's just bad. It's bad decision making.
And all play action to running backs as it was.
We talked about this organization already at the start of it. They're playing like a bad fantasy owner. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just run the wheels off with CMC, but I have him ranked.
Why not? Why don't you
because you're not good without him.
You've got to, if he's your best player, you've got to get him the ball. You're coaching for this year. If you don't win games, you're gone. So if he's your best player, you get him the ball. Him and DJ Moore are going to eat, both of them.
I agree with the sentiment, and like
they're going to be behind in games too. Like you said, the defense isn't great. They're going to be behind in games. C-Mac is going to get touches. He's going to get garbage touches galore.
It's scary, dude. This is like
wrong.
Okay, we'll see. If I said this last year, you would have said I was wrong too. And then guess who is sitting on the sideline?
Got injured.
Yeah.
If he gets injured, then you can't predict injuries. I'm saying healthy targets. Last year showed it.
You can't predict injuries. What do you say about Will Fuller all the time?
Well, like I said, he's only not.
You predict it for him, right?
PEDs.
Yeah. So don't try to play this whatever side you feel is appropriate for a conversation.
C-Mac's gonna ball. You're wrong.
You could say I don't think C-Mac is injury prone, and I don't expect him to be hurt again. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me, Alex. All right, I got.
He's healthy.
Sometimes you get quiet, and I'm like, stop not saying something to me. Make me feel awkward, and I think that's what you go for, just to make me feel like a weirdo.
Rule cannot lose his job by leaving his best player on the bench to protect him for a job that he will potentially not be at next year. He's going to ride him.
Yep. Run him to the ground. It's the NFL.
That org likes Matt Rule more than you guys are giving credit for. He has way too much power in the drafts and everything. DJ Moore.
David Tepper doesn't care. He'll spend money. He'll buy everybody out. Doesn't matter.
Ask Ron Rivera.
I want to talk about DJ Moore, not Ron Rivera. So are we expecting a big blow up year? And I think I want to lead this one, and this will be the only time that I want to lead one because it's something that I've looked into a little bit. There are a lot of people ranking him high. Did you either of you guys? I didn't write your guys' ranks down here. Did you either of you have yours handy?
I don't have it handy.
I do. Hold on.
But I do love DJ Moore.
I got him at 26, which I'm way too low. I feel that's a little too low. Alex at 23.
Yeah.
Alex, we don't typically agree with things, so look at us. And House at 13. So
I thought I had him somewhere outside or in the top 15.
I want to put him in under top. I want to make him a top 24 receiver. I think this is him falling to 26 is more of a product of me moving some other guys up and just not realizing he was falling. Anyways, DJ Moore, 13 seems rich. So let's first talk about what he's done. DJ Moore has had in the touchdown. I don't have his yards right now. It has had 2 touchdowns in 2018, 4. Highest touchdowns of the year is 4, obviously. He was wide receiver 36 in 2018. Fine. That was his rookie season. Wide receiver 16 in 2019, wide receiver 25 in 2020, and then wide receiver 18 in 2021. You could say there's not been great quarterbacks there. We had Darnold, we had Bridgewater, we had pretty much an aging Cam. Was this a year of not Heineke? What was that? Kyle Allen? He's fine. Gets Baker. I do think there's an upgrade there. I actually agree with that. But when we look at Baker's history with the number one or receivers in general, 4 years with the Browns, the highest number of receiving touchdowns was 6. And that was from Jarvis Landry in 2019. The next top 2 are 5. So he's only 3 players have had more than 4 touchdowns from Baker. And that's Jarvis Landry in 2019, Antonio Callaway in 2018, 1 being from Tyrod Taylor, and 5 TDs to Hunt in 2020. After that, the highest are 4. So if we're expecting DJ Moore to fall within 13, you're expecting he's going to get some more touchdowns. Why? I'll start with you, House, because you're the highest on that.
Because he's really good.
Honestly,
I don't know. So that was news to me on the Baker stats, and I actually have a note here that says should easily be in that wide receiver 2 tier with Baker as an upgrade, and then I have parentheses gross at QB because Baker being an upgrade over anybody is terrible. DJ Moore has put up numbers with terrible quarterback play, and any upgrade has to help him, right? So
I think so.
I don't necessarily know that he's going to come out and score 10 touchdowns, but you know, if Baker's never thrown more than 5 to somebody, you said it was Hunt.
Jarvis had 6 in 2019, 5 was to Hunt, and then Callaway had 5, but only 4 of those came from Baker.
Yeah, so I mean, the same thing can be said there. Is we can expect him to improve. DJ Moore's better than Jarvis was, or anything like that at the time, in my opinion.
But Odell in 2019 was
that was Odell didn't want to be there. Odell didn't want to be there.
That's the tough part, though. Like Jarvis is good, and in 2019 he was really good.
Odell's dad told you that Baker didn't want to throw to him. He ignored him. So yeah. So if you look at all the numbers though on DJ Moore, man, they want to get him the ball. He was one of a. This is a weird combo of stats, and I couldn't find who the other ones were, but he was one of 11 receivers last year that ran a route on 90% of the team's dropbacks, was top 3 in air yards, and was in the top 7 in targets per route run. They target him. They try and get him to the ball. And if Baker can be average to above average, and they're still trying to get him the ball like that, it's got to translate into success. Is 13 high where I have him? Probably. But I could see him easily falling into that 16 to 20 range.
I think that's where I kind of want to get closer to. I do.
I just changed my rankings because it was one of those things where I had him.
Just got pushed down.
I moved him to 16 actually. So
I want to be right around 18 or 19.
He's going to do is it going to be a breakout year? No, he's going to do better, but it's not like, hey, I'm going to put up crazy different stats. Baker Mayfield's another quarterback.
And Baker moves the ball around.
Yeah. So, and to be honest, this team could end up coming up out of nowhere. Like Terrace Marshall could end up being productive. We don't know. He could end up being
Sean
a bust.
Higgins.
I'm not worried about Higgins.
It's Baker's boy.
Yeah, but if he beats out Terrace Marshall, then yeah, we'll see. I don't know if that's going to happen. Robbie Anderson's still there. So it's not like he has bums he's throwing to. He does have a pretty solid receiving core, and he's got C-Mac. So the offense can end up being pretty decent. DJ Moore will get a little bit of an increase because of Baker, and Baker will spread it around. It could end up being Baker's best statistical year. So if Sam Darnold, gets injured.
Yeah.
Best wide receiver in this division that doesn't play for Tampa.
Yeah.
DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Look he's thinking about
Michael Thomas. I was like, Michael Thomas.
I knew it.
He's not better.
I knew that's where he was going.
He will be this year.
Okay, dokie.
Not Drake London, Alex?
No.
Oh, okay.
Drake London's good, but it's I'm not expecting crazy stuff.
So let's move to the Buccaneers. We got a couple funny headlines from this week. We found the report, the evidence of tampering, and it's a note from the Miami Dolphins. Tom Brady, will you play for the Miami Dolphins, please? Parentheses, circle 1. Yes, no, maybe. Love, Mr. Ross, Dolphins owner. So we found the tampering. Interesting headline came across from the Bucs as well. Mike Evans says Tom Brady has rubbed off on everybody. Some interesting way to say he's bringing together the team. Lastly, Tom just turned 45. Leonard Fournette sent him I believe that's a cake, but sometimes it looks like it's a book. A cake of a goat. I always say goat like a colt. Goat. Saying happy 100th. I'm from Scotland.
Oh, look at that goat over there.
Maybe I watched too much Simpsons and the janitor wore off.
Watching Braveheart.
Yeah. Happy 100th birthday from Lenny Fournette. So I thought that was pretty funny. That's probably like, if we get together, maybe for like House's birthday, that looks like the perfect one right there. Happy 100th birthday.
Happy 100th birthday.
Here's a goat. Yeah.
Let's be honest. Lenny probably ate that whole cake.
Hey, the other piece of. All right. So this is because we're running low on time. I'm just going to keep us moving here. But it's funny because you bring up what I have written down. Lenny back down to 245 pounds. A lot of reports talking about Rachaad White catching the ball in the backfield.
A lot of reports are saying Rachaad White is way better than Lenny catching the ball.
Yeah. So does that give you some fear about your Lenny rankings this year? And I'll start with you, House.
I don't know. You guys have been on this Rachaad White train for a while, and you're slowly talking me into it. And I take him in mock drafts just so you guys can't, just to kind of to pick at you and at Rob. Here's the thing: Lenny's gonna start the season as the clear number one.
3-year contract.
They're gonna work. Rachaad White in. I don't know that it's going to be enough that it makes me concerned that Lenny's going to take a big drop. Yep. Yeah. So I guess that's me saying I'm not terribly concerned. Do I think that he's going to where did he finish last year? He was
Lenny, I think RB 7 or 7, 5 to 7. Let me get it up.
5 to 7, somewhere in there. Do I see him finishing that high again? Probably not. But I see him
because the targets aren't going to be there.
Probably in that
6
RB 10 off the top of my head.
Which is close to where he's like going in drafts right now. I'll get his ADP up here. Alex, do you have some fears about this?
I mean, I think I have him wide or running back 13 this year. I don't think
he goes 13.
Yeah. I think he's gonna, like what House said, he's gonna get the carries. White's I think he's gonna take some receptions away. He's a dynasty snatch for sure, but 245-pound dude, with that contract, you're gonna run him up the middle. You're gonna give that line a break from pass blocking, and he's gonna be the guy who's gonna do it.
That's really what's going to keep him in a lot of these downs is how much he protects Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And it's not the coach that would make that decision. It's Tom. And I think we got to remember that. So like he'll be in those plays. It does make you wonder if Rachaad White can step up on his blocking. I just find that hard to believe that there's many better pass blocking backs than Lenny.
I mean, he's almost the size of a lineman. So
right. 245 is huge. And he's jacked.
That's the thing is, you always hear about this running back's going to eat, that running back's going to eat. They have to make sure that Lenny doesn't, or he's Eddie Lacy.
He gets up to 260 quick. It's pretty impressive that he could just be like, yeah, I'm 260. Let me get this down in a month. I'm back down to 245. Tom Brady turning 45. The year is 1990.
1990.
I'm just
Not
kidding,
Drew
Alex.
Bledsoe.
Relax, all right, buddy? Tom Brady, look at the Tom Brady truther is just like, whoa. He was born 1977. Thank you very much. I nailed that.
Yeah.
I'm the Tom Brady truther now. Turning
Nerd.
45. Can he do it again in fantasy football? Alex, do it to it, dude. You got 1 minute.
The sky blue?
Well, maybe that's it then.
I mean, yes, of course Brady can still do it. He's got weapons. They added weapons. Julio Jones has actually looked pretty good so far, which is surprising. Just getting those high point jump balls.
I've been saving that for the last one. All right, let's just stick to Tom Brady. Okay.
I'm just saying, yeah, he can do it.
No, I know. I'm not messing with you.
He's a freak. He's the GOAT. He's one of a kind. He's the best to ever do it. Yes. He's gone this year, but he's still putting 40 touchdowns up.
Woo, 40 again. House, you liking Tom Brady again, or are you just too scared to get caught holding the bag?
Just say it.
I hate Tom Brady. I want him to go away, but he's going to probably throw 35 touchdowns, 40 touchdowns, and be a stud, and it's going to drive me insane.
Yep.
The happiest moments of my football life were the 3 weeks that he was retired.
Steelers probably would have had 2 more chips if Brady was not Brady.
And Belichick wasn't a cheater.
Oh, well. If you ain't cheating, are you trying?
Oh, what a Patriots fan to say something like that.
I don't want to hear anything Browns fan.
That's not fair.
Oh,
That's not fair.
But it is.
It's not. We haven't won anything. Don't come at me.
True.
We have won nothing.
Nothing at all.
Yeah, I'm not here sitting with imaginary rings as you are, you Patriots fan. I don't have those. I'm just sitting here just watching people plant flags, just watching players get suspended, coaches going, don't come to me and say, Browns fan this. What am I supposed to do? I have no control on who they bring in. What do you want from me?
Stop rooting for a suck.
Wow.
Come to the winning side.
Stop rooting for a suck.
Yeah.
There you go.
Great response.
Great sentence by Alex.
All right,
Good job, buddy.
Last bit on the Bucks.
I was going to add another word, but I didn't want to curse. So
wow. What do we make of these wide receivers? So we got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, maybe coming back sooner than I've been saying. I'm not sure. I don't know what to think. Russell Gage. Now they have Julio Jones. You don't have to kind of hit them in a nauseum. Am I saying that right? A nauseum?
Ad nauseum.
Ad nauseum. But tell me what you're like. Are you fading? Are you trying to grab all of these guys? What are you doing, House?
Mike Evans for sure. Stud. Godwin depends on health. That's the big question. I know everybody's saying, he's going to be back sooner than expected. Julio could be sneaky. AB was sneaky when he got in there, right? They all became relevant. I see snap Klay Thompson down at the bottom.
Yeah, I know. I've left it on here because I didn't feel like Alex saw it. Who that? Oh, snap Klay Thompson.
Love it. But yeah, those receivers, they're going to put up numbers, and unfortunately, that means Brady's going to as well, to tie back to our previous conversation.
Yeah,
but
stacked. It's a stacked receiving room.
Yeah, I mean,
outside of Gage.
Yeah, Gage. There was some Gage love at the beginning of this, right? The last month or so, we had a lot of conversations about him and how he could be a sneaky play, but that Julio signing just makes Gage damn near irrelevant.
Imagine how pissed off he is.
Oh, he's probably a bit salty.
Like, I left the Falcons, you left, and then I get a chance to get away from Falcons and you, and this is what happens.
Now I have you, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, he's back.
It's like your ex-girlfriend getting hired at your job. You're like, are you joking?
I think Julio is really interesting because he's not going crazy, but I've had this conversation with Alex a lot, and how there's Twitter personnel Luke Sawhook talks about how, well, he came out saying he's going to be wide receiver 30, and he got just flamed on Twitter. And my honest thought is, I don't know if I'm projecting him there. I haven't even adjusted those, and this has been over a week, but it's not that insane to say that Julio Jones, one of the best receivers over the past decade, playing with a 45-year-old machine, it can't finish in the top 30. I don't think it's that crazy.
It's not.
It's not. It's a 60, 65, 806 TD stat line. You guys, Julio, it's Julio. I'm still my blood is still boiling from you talking about the Browns, dude, and making it seem like it's on me.
Are you sure that's not the Cuyahoga River you're drinking? Blood boil.
You and Julio down by the schoolyard. So what did you say? What were those numbers that you just ran through again?
So
catches and yards.
Yeah, this is like, obviously in your projections, it's going to be a little bit different. But if he was to put up 60 for 806 TDs, he would fall right around wide receiver 30. Obviously, there's injuries that we're not aware of that's going to happen. So like in your projections, that probably won't fall at wide receiver 30, maybe something around 35 to 40. But
it's very possible.
If he's healthy, that stat line seems very doable.
You're right.
Like, I don't know if it's like too, like it could go either way. It could go higher.
Especially if Godwin's missing games. Like,
I'm looking at last year, and it was Kendrick Bourne had 55, 800.
Not TDs, though.
And 5 TDs, and he was 33.
Dude.
So,
and we don't, and everyone's real high on Tom. Really, I think he's just going to go to Mike Evans and Lenny. I mean, come on. There's no Gronk. Julio could very well play a similar
3
role.
fantasy relevant receivers. I didn't want to think Julio was going to be like, we've had this discussion where I'm like, he's old. You know, the Titans, he didn't look phenomenal. He's got his injury history the last 4 years. If he's healthy and he's close to what he was peak, it could be, it could be scary. He could put up top 30, maybe top 25.
Alex, I think he could be 75 to 80% of his prime playing days, like not health wise, but skill level. And I think he could put up this stat line pretty easily at 75.
I agree. I didn't at first, but I do. I agree.
I mean, old ass AJ Green was 41 last year.
He almost did
41.
It. Yeah.
And he had 54, 848, and 3.
And didn't have Tom Brady throwing the ball.
Exactly.
Boys, we are less than a week away from our Dad Bod Squad episode, August 10th, starting at a little bit. If you're not already, I don't think my points end up going to the right spot anymore. We do put our record
anyway.
Yeah, music was playing.
Is it all coming out?
You're good now. You're good now.
What the heck? August 10th. Check us out.
Pizza party, August 10th.
Peace.
See you, boys.